Floor is open. Okay, cool. So I'm Jess, as Shannon said. I might have met some of you. I used to teach there on Saturday mornings live before we went all virtual. Now I teach on Thursday nights. So you might have seen me on YouTube or on Thursday. If you have never met me, hi, nice to meet you. I'm gonna go ahead and mute everyone, just in case we're not muted already. So everyone is muted, and you can just start to settle yourselves in. So if you like to turn off your camera, if you like to do whatever you need to do before you get ready for class, feel free to start doing that. I'm just gonna take a moment to set up my own screen. Hard to do two things at once while I'm talking and clicking. All right, so happy weekend, happy Saturday morning, everyone. I am Jess, as I just said. We're gonna get started today lying down. So you can go ahead and lie back on your mat, finding a position that feels comfortable for you. And those of you who might have seen my YouTube videos or come to my Thursday class know that I always emphasize that this is the time of class for you to really find a position that feels comfortable for you. So I always suggest starting on your back, but if that's not comfortable, that's not where you need to start. You can be on your side, you can be seated, you can have your knees bent rather than straight out. So basically taking this time now to find a space that's really comfortable for you. And then you're going to close your eyes. You're going to start to deepen your breath a little bit. So each time you inhale, you're drawing that breath in through the nose, filling up the lungs, the chest, the stomach, actually feeling that expansion as you inhale. As you exhale, beginning to send that breath back out, retracing its steps until you press the air back out and continue to breathe like that. Maybe even bringing a hand to the chest or the stomach so that you can feel that rise and fall of the chest. And these first few moments here in the beginning of our class are really some of the most important moments, because it's the time where you're sort of pressing pause on everything else that's going on in your day, whether you are working today, playing today, just woke up, you've been up for hours, whatever it is you have planned for today. You're going to press pause for this next hour and just let everything you've already done kind of be in the past. Let everything that's ahead of you today sort of stay ahead of you. And for right now, you're just going to take this hour to really take care of yourself and kind of set yourself up in the best way for the day ahead. So one of the ways that you can do that is by setting an intention for yourself. So an intention is simply a word or a phrase, a mantra, whatever you like to call it, something that you're thinking about, keeping you connected to your practice, kind of helping you not start to wander with your mind. So that intention could be something like finding balance, finding peace, patience, love, healing. Maybe it's something for you, maybe it's something you're sending out to someone else. So take a moment now to think about that intention as you continue to take those nice deep breaths, enjoying this moment of stillness before we start to move. And then on the next inhale, we're going to slowly start to find a full body stretch. So if you were already lying flat, you'll just start to reach the arms overhead. If your legs were bent, you might straighten them, or whatever movement you need to make so that you can find that full body stretch. And then you're just going to start to move the wrists, the ankles, the fingers, the toes, kind of like you're waking up for the second time today. Maybe a little side to side movement. And then on the next inhale, we're going to start to draw the knees in towards us, wrapping your arms around your shins as you give your shins a little hug, kind of drawing those knees in towards you. And then just taking any movement that feels good here. So it could be circling the knees. It could be rocking side to side. Just allowing that spine to start to press down into the mat. So if you were lying flat a moment ago, there was a little curve in the base of your spine. Now the whole spine is pressing down. You're kind of massaging the back of the body as you move those legs a little bit. And then we're just going to bring our hands behind your thighs, tuck your chin to your chest as you gently begin to rock along your spine, if that feels comfortable. If rocking doesn't feel comfortable, you'll just come right up to a seated position. If you are rocking, take a couple rocks and then make your way up to that seated position. Crossing the legs once you arrive. If it feels more comfortable for you, you can sit on a blanket or a towel or a pillow or something to kind of elevate your hips a little bit. We're going to bring our hands to our knees and just take a moment here to also sort of ground down and check in. So checking on that posture, see if you can sit up a little taller, see if you can relax your shoulders a little bit more, lifting that chin up so that it's parallel to the ground. This position will again allow you to take a really nice, deep, full breath. And then we're just gonna start to move the shoulders a little bit. So on the next inhale, start to draw those shoulders up towards the ears. And as you exhale, let them release down the back. We're gonna do that a couple times. Inhale, draw them up. Exhale, release them back. Go ahead and move with your breath. So the speed is whatever feels right for you. It doesn't have to match my speed. And then we're also gonna do it in the opposite direction. So inhaling as you lift them up the back. Exhale, release them forward. Go ahead and do that a couple times as well. And then the last time you lift them up, hold them for a second, pausing, creating a little tension, a little tightness. And then with a huge exhale, let it go. Let go of all that tension you created and a little bit more. And then just slowly letting the chin release down towards the chest. So your spine is lengthened, your head is leaning forward. And then we're just going to begin to roll the head all the way around, beginning to take some full circles with the neck. If full circles doesn't feel good, you always have the option to just go side to side. So bringing your right ear towards your right shoulder and then your left. Sometimes leaning back doesn't feel comfortable on the neck. So if that's you, you don't have to do that. If you are making full circles, make sure you take a couple in each direction. Maybe even bringing your hands to the upper neck and back and kind of massaging up there. The idea is that we're dissolving some of that tightness, some of that tension that we start to store in the neck and the shoulders and the upper back. Allow that to relax and dissolve. Once you've taken a couple circles in each direction, go ahead and lift your head back up, almost like there's a string, kind of drawing the top of the head towards the sky. And then on the next inhale, we're going to reach our arms up overhead. And as you exhale, the right hand is going to come to the mat on the side of you as you start to lean to the right side. So pressing down through the left hip, reach the left fingertips. Looking under that left arm, you're getting really long on that left side of the body. Maybe even taking that left shoulder and dialing it back a little bit. And then on the next inhale, go ahead and lift all the way up, relax the shoulders, reach it up. And as you exhale, take it over to the left side. So the left hand is coming to the mat. The right fingertips are reaching. Almost imagine I was coming up to you and sort of drawing your fingertips away from you. So just giving you that extra little pinch. And then on the next inhale, we'll lift it all the way back up. This time as you exhale, we're going to fold it forward. So bring your hands to the mat in front of you, and then just slowly start to walk your hands away from you as far as it feels comfortable. And that is going to be different for everyone, and it doesn't matter where it is for you. What matters is that you feel that opening in the back of the body. We're going to use our breath to start to bring us a little bit deeper. So as you inhale, see if you can lengthen the spine, maybe even sitting up a little bit. As you exhale, the fingertips will walk just a little bit further away from you. And maybe you do that once or twice more, inhaling, creating that length. Exhale, finding a deeper fold. Letting the head become heavy as it hangs between your shoulders. And then we'll slowly start to walk those hands back towards the body as you press the upper body back up. You're going to bring the soles of the feet together, interlacing your hands under your toes. Take a deep breath in, lengthen that spine. As you exhale, you're going to start to fold forward, keeping that length in the spine. So almost imagine that you're bringing your chest towards your toes. Rather than rounding your back and getting your head towards your toes, think about pressing the chest down. You can press your elbows into your shins just a little bit so that you're creating a little stretch, but you're not forcing anything. You're not hugging or pulling. You're just using your own resistance to kind of make it a little bit of a stretch. And then on the next inhale, you'll go ahead and lift it back up. We're going to extend our right leg long. Those right toes are flexed. Your left foot is coming into the right inner thigh. Kind of shift so that you're facing that right leg a little bit. And then as you inhale, your arms are going to lift up overhead. As you exhale, fold it forward over that right leg. And we're just going to give that leg some love. And what I mean by that is really doing whatever feels good for that leg. So that might be bending the knee a little bit. That might be kind of massaging the back of the thigh, the back of the calf. Your hands could be on your foot, the mat, the shin. Doesn't really matter. It's still early in the practice that we're really just warming up. And it's also a morning class. I know you guys are probably used to your Saturday morning class. I usually teach in the evenings. At the end of the day, we're a little more warmed up. So when you start your day with a class, it's important to spend a little extra time warming up because I'll use that in the morning. On the next inhale, we're going to go ahead and bring that left arm up and overhead, place it on the mat, kind of behind your left hip. You're gonna press the hips up and reach the right arm behind you. So we're making one straight line on the right side of the body. We're gonna move a little bit. So this is the inhale. As you exhale, you're gonna lower yourself back down to that fold over the right leg. We're gonna do that 2 or 3 more times with your breath. So on the inhale, that left arm swings behind you. It presses the hips up, and then the right hand reaches, press the hips up towards the sky, get that nice long line on the right side of the body. As you exhale, go ahead and find that fold again. Continue this with your breath. You don't have to stay with me. Inhale as you lift and lengthen, create that space on the side of the body. Big inhale. As you exhale, fold. Go ahead and do one more, and then once you complete that one that you're on, we'll pause in that fold. So settling back into that forward fold once you're here, and then on the next inhale, we'll just gently start to lift it back up. The left foot is gonna come to the outside of the right knee. So you kind of cross that left leg over the right. That right leg can stay straight if that feels comfortable. You also have the option to bend the right knee. So the right foot is next to the left hip. So either one. Right leg is straight or bent. Your left hand is coming to the side of the body either way. And as you inhale, the right arm lifts up. As you exhale, we're turning to the left, hooking that right elbow on the outside of the left knee, coming into a twist. So each time you inhale, see if you can sit up a little taller. Each time you exhale, see if you can twist a little further. Twisting through the whole spine, starting with the base of the spine all the way up the back. And then we're going to come back through center and just take it to the other side for just a breath. So go ahead and twist to the right, kind of unraveling all of that. And then again, as you come back through center, extend both legs. You can kind of tap the backs of your legs on the mat a little bit. We'll take that same thing on the other side by bringing the right foot into the left inner thigh. Flex through those left toes. As you inhale, lift the arms up. As you exhale, fold over that left leg. Give it a little love. Bend the knee. Massage the muscles. Maybe even moving the foot a little bit if that feels good. Kind of pointing and flexing the toes. Stillness is also an option. I've been giving lots of options of ways that you can move. But sometimes it feels good just to stay still, just to find that spot that feels good and breathe into it. If that's you, then by all means, stay where you are and just focus on that breath. And then we will all start to move a little bit on the next inhale. That right arm is going to come behind you this time or to the side of the right hip. You're going to press the hips up and reach the left arm behind you. So you're getting that nice long line on the left side of the body. And then as you exhale, fold. I think we did about 4 on the other side. So go ahead and do about 3 more now. Inhale, lift and lengthen that left side of the body. Exhale as you fold over that left leg. Inhale, right arm comes behind you, lengthen. Exhale as you fold. Finishing up one last one, and then we'll settle back in that fold. And then from your fold, we'll start to lift it all the way back up. That right foot is going to come to the outside of the left knee this time, preparing for that twist. Same options if you like to bend that left knee or keep it straight. Either way, the right hand is coming to the side of the body. This time, as you inhale, the left arm lifts up. As you exhale, we're twisting to the right. The left elbow is hooking onto the outside of the right knee. Take a deep breath. See if you can sit up a little taller. And then exhale, see if you can turn a little further, looking towards that right shoulder. But being mindful that it's not just your head that's turning. Sometimes we turn our neck as far as we can to see far behind us, but really we want to be twisting through the whole spine, not just the neck. And again, coming back through center, we'll go over to the left for just a breath, kind of wringing out that spine, unraveling all of that. And then back through center, extend both legs, kind of tap the backs of those legs out one more time. And then we're going to come into a tabletop position. You can start to swing your feet behind you a little bit as you begin to settle into that tabletop where your wrists are below your shoulders, your knees are below your hips, your back is nice and flat to start. And then we'll move through a couple of rounds of our cat and cow. So on the inhale, the stomach releases down, the gaze goes up. As you exhale, the back rounds, press the ground away from you. Just continue to move there like that with your breath. Inhale, pressing the stomach down, taking the gaze up. Exhale, round the back, almost like there's a string between the shoulder blades, kind of pulling the back up. And then you always have the option to add on. Sometimes it feels good to rock your hips from side to side, shake your head yes or no, maybe make some circles. It's really about connecting the breath with the movement. So it doesn't necessarily matter what the movement looks like specifically, so much as you're moving that spine and you're moving with your breath. Finishing up that round that you're on, we're going to extend the right leg behind us, keeping those toes tucked. So your right toes are on the mat. You're just going to start to press yourself forwards and backwards. So kind of pressing that right heel back and then using the toes to kind of propel you forward. So doing that a couple times, just sort of stretching out the bottoms of your feet. Really important. We don't always give our feet a lot of attention. We want to warm them up for this class, but also just kind of give them a little love in general. As you come back through center, we're going to lift that right leg up. As you inhale, the right knee draws towards the nose, round the back, kind of like that cat back. Exhale, extend the right leg long. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, knee to nose, round the back. Exhale, extend it long. Inhale, knee to nose, round the back. Exhale, extend it long. We're going to find a modified side plank. So the left foot kind of slides off the mat, almost like a little kickstand. Your left toes are off the mat. The inner arch of the right foot is grounding down, and then the right fingertips are reaching towards the top of the mat. So this is kind of the same shape we were in when we were pressing ourselves up from that fold a moment ago, but you're just getting a little more into the stretch on the right side of the body, pressing those hips up. Look under that right arm towards the sky. If it feels good, you can take a couple circles with the right arm, really using your full range of motion with that right shoulder. Couple circles in one direction, couple circles in the other direction. And then we're going to start to find that tabletop again by bringing the right hand down to the mat, right knee down to the mat. Maybe you shake your hips out from side to side or move through a cat and cow. And then that left leg is going to extend. Keeping the toes tucked first as you start to press yourself forwards and backwards. Same thing as we did on the right foot. Just get that nice stretch at the back of the left foot, also the back of the leg, but really focusing on the foot. And then we'll come back through center, lift that left leg up. Inhale, draw the knee to the nose, round the back. Exhale, extend it long. Inhale, knee to nose. Exhale, extend long. One more time, knee to nose, round that back. Give that knee a kiss, and then extend it long as we set up for our side plank. So this time, the right foot slides off the mat. The top of the right foot is pressing down. The inner arch of the left foot is grounding down. And then those left fingertips are going to reach towards the top of the mat. Looking under that left arm, pressing the left hip up towards the sky. If you did so on the other side, you can make those circles with the left arm. And in this pose, it's common to sort of notice any differences on either side of the body. So if you have any kind of shoulder injury, or depending on which hand is dominant, you might notice that it feels very different from one side to the other, making sure you're circling that arm in both directions. So one side might not have that same range of motion as the other, and that's okay. That's normal. We're going to come back to that tabletop position, and then we're going to start to find our first downward facing dog. So from your tabletop, your toes can tuck, your legs can straighten, your hips go up and back as you just start to settle in here. So no matter if you've never done down dog before or you've done it 1,000 times in your life, it always feels different. So it's important the first time we come into it in a class or in a day that you just take a few moments to kind of settle in. So maybe lifting your heels up one at a time and then pressing them back down, bending your knees and then straightening them. You can rock your hips from side to side, shake your head yes and no. All these little movements really help you start to settle in. And then on the next inhale, we're going to roll it out into a plank position. So drawing the shoulders over the wrists, tucking the tailbone, engaging the core, really strong here. The knees are going to slowly lower onto the mat, and then the rest of the body is going to follow. So hugging the elbows in towards you, slow as you can. You're going to start to come all the way down onto your stomach. Good. On the next inhale, baby cobra. So for baby cobra, the fingertips are lifted off the mat. The shoulder blades are pressing together. You don't want to strain your neck too much, so you're not looking up towards the ceiling. You're kind of just looking straight off the front of your mat. But you're getting that nice little opening in the upper back. And then we're gently going to press our hands into the mat. Make your way back to your downward facing dog so your knees can bend, your toes can tuck, and then right back to that downward facing dog. Good. This time from our down dog, we're going to come to a forward fold at the back of the mat. So you're going to start to walk your hands towards your feet, walking to the back of that mat until you find that forward fold. Your feet can be about 2 or 3 fists distance apart. And then you're just going to fold in any way that feels comfortable for you. So bending the knees as much as you need. Maybe holding on to opposite elbows, holding on to the back of your head. You can move a little bit, rock from side to side, maybe sway like a rag doll. Or again, maybe you just find some stillness, focusing on that breath, focusing on gravity doing the work here, really. The upper body is just sort of relaxing and not resisting as we let gravity sort of be the weight here. And then on the next inhale, slowly, so you don't get dizzy, you'll start to lift yourself all the way up. That was a long forward fold. So slowly reach it up, reach those arms overhead, take your gaze up towards the sky, maybe a little back bend here if it feels comfortable. And then we're going to take our hands and interlace them behind the tailbone, behind the back. So you're kind of holding your hands behind you. Take a breath in. Think about puffing up the heart, puffing up the chest, kind of press those shoulder blades away from you, looking up towards the sky if it feels comfortable. So you're opening up the throat, the neck, pressing those palms together. As you inhale, as you exhale, we're going to fold it forward. See if you can keep those hands interlaced. It's a little tricky, but give it a try. Bending the knees can help. So bend the knees as much as you need here. And then we're just going to let that go. On the next inhale, lift all the way back up. Reach those arms up overhead, little back bend. Exhale, big swan dive down, forward fold. Your fingertips are going to come back to the mat. You can put a little bend in your knees to get your fingertips to the mat. And then we're going to walk it back out to our plank position. So go ahead and walk your hands forward so that you're coming back into a plank on your mat. Tucking that tailbone under, engaging the core. Knees are going to come down. And one more time, we're going to lower ourselves all the way onto our stomachs. Good. Once you're down, we're going to take another Cobra. You have the choice. If you like that baby Cobra, go for it again. Otherwise, maybe you start to press your hands into the mat and lift it up a little bit higher. You decide here. Your back is going to tell you what it needs. If it feels like a little bit too much, lower it down a little bit. We want to be gentle to our backs. And then we're all going to lower it down and find your way back to that downward facing dog. So pressing the hands into the mat, bending the knees, tucking the toes, straighten the legs, downward facing dog. Good. One more time, start to walk those hands towards the feet. So just like we did before, finding that forward fold at the top of the mat. This time we're going to bring our hands to our shins. Take a little halfway lift as you inhale, the back is flat. As you exhale, fold forward. On the next inhale, we'll lift it all the way up again. Reach those arms overhead, maybe a little back bend. Relax the shoulders. And then start to bring the hands behind the tailbone again. This time the opposite thumb is going to be on top. Most likely it's whichever one feels awkward because you probably put the one that doesn't feel awkward on top the first time. So for me, it's my left hand because I'm right-handed. So take a breath in, puff up the heart, puff up the chest, press those palms together. One more time, fold it forward. This one might feel even more strange than the other side because you have that weird interlace with your hands. That's okay. Give it a try. And then again, go ahead and release the arms as you inhale. Lift it all the way up. Reach the arms overhead. Stretch it out. Exhale as you dive it back down. Forward fold. Hands come to the mat as we slowly walk it back out to our plank position. Engage the core. Tuck the tailbone. Knees come to the mat. Think about being in like a reverse or a modified push-up pose. So rather than having the hips over the knees, you kind of want to have that little inclined plane shape with the body. And then slowly lower yourself all the way down onto the mat. taking that Cobra that you choose, maybe the baby, maybe pressing your hands into the mat, lifting it up a little bit higher. And then we'll slowly lower it all the way back down and find your downward facing dog. So your hands can press into the mat, the knees bend, toes tuck, downward facing dog. We're going to take 3 breaths here this time. So maybe you continue to move, bending the knees, pedaling out the feet. Maybe you start to find some stillness. If you are finding stillness, your gaze is towards the thighs or the shins. You're focusing on that breath. And then after those 3 breaths, you're going to take your gaze towards your hands. This time we're coming to a forward fold at the top of the mat. So you can just walk the feet towards the hands, coming to a forward fold here. We're going to bring our hands to our shins, little halfway lift, nice flat back as you inhale. As you exhale, fold. On the next inhale, lift it all the way up, reach those arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good. We're going to reach the arms back up overhead. You're going to interlace your hands, press the palms away from you. So you're pressing your palms up towards the sky. The shoulders are relaxed. You kind of walk your feet so that your big toes are together. If you had a little space between your feet, go ahead and step your feet back together. Take your breath in as you lift up. As you exhale, take it over to the left side so that we're stretching the whole right side of the body. Think about pressing the hips to the right and the palms to the left. Roll that right shoulder open as you look under that right arm. And then on the next inhale, lift it all the way back up. Exhale, take it over to the right. Roll that left shoulder open, look under that left arm. Get that nice length on the side of the body. Feel the ribs expanding under the arm is lengthening. And then on the next inhale, lift it up. As you exhale, swan dive down, forward folds. Then we're going to put a little bend in our knees so that you can bring your hands to the mat. And then the left foot is going to step all the way back. You can take one giant step or a bunch of little steps, however you need to get there, so that you're in a low lunge or a runner's lunge. You can even kind of bring your knee down first to get yourself there. And actually, once we're there, we're all going to bring the knee down. So if you already had your knee down, you can keep that left knee down on the mat. Press the top of the left foot into the mat. Your left hand is going to ground down next to that right foot. And then on an exhale, the right arm is going to lift up. We're coming into a twist. So that right arm is reaching overhead. You're looking up towards that right hand. And then slowly bringing that right hand back to the mat. As you exhale, you're going to press the hips back, straighten that right leg. So you're kind of folding over that right leg. And then as you inhale, rebend that right knee, press the hips down, start to lift up through the upper body. If you have any kind of blocks or books or anything at home to press your hands into to kind of bring the ground closer to you, this is a great pose for that. But we're just going to move between those two poses a little bit. As you exhale, the hips press back, the right leg straightens, you fold over that right leg. As you inhale, the hips press forward, that right knee bends, the upper body lifts. When you're here, think about pressing that left hip down towards the mat. Go ahead and move through this a couple more times with your breath. The idea is that we're warming up the hips a little bit, but if movement doesn't feel good, just like I said before, pause wherever you need to. Maybe you're like, ooh, I need to just breathe into this for a moment or two. Then do that. You don't have to continue to flow. But if the movement helps the hips warm up, then go ahead and continue to take that forwards and backwards movement. And then the next time you come forward, we're all going to start to come into a crescent lunge or Anjaneyasana. So you're going to either bring your hands to that right knee and sort of press up through the upper body, or you can reach your arms up overhead. Your choice, whichever feels like it gives you that better stretch in the hip. So sometimes when we start to reach the arms overhead, all of a sudden the hips dial back and you're kind of not as deep as you were before. If that's the case, bring your hands back to the knee and see if you can get a little bit deeper of a stretch on that left hip. That's really where we want to be feeling this stretch. And then we're all going to slowly bring our hands back to frame out that right foot. You're going to tuck those left toes, straighten that back leg. We're stepping back to a forward fold at the top of the mat. So Just like we got here, you can either take one giant step or a couple small steps, eventually coming to that forward fold, bringing your hands to your shins, inhaling as you lift up halfway, exhaling as you fold. Inhale, lift all the way up, straighten it all out. Exhale, hands to heart center. Then on the next inhale, we'll reach it right back up. Exhale, dive it down. Put a little bend in your knees so that you can bring your hands to the mat. This time the right foot is stepping back, so that left foot is staying forward. Once you're here, that back knee lowers down, just like we did on the other side. Untuck the toes. Top of the right foot is pressing into the mat this time. The right hand is going to come down so that your right hand and your left foot are kind of in a line together. And then the left arm starts to reach up towards the sky, creating a twist. So think about having one straight line from that right hand to the left hand. Roll that left shoulder open as you look up towards your fingertips. See if you can keep that left knee on top of the left ankle. It's not like pressing out to the side. And then slowly left hand comes back to the mat. As you exhale, press those hips back, straighten that left leg, fold over that left leg. Inhale, rebend the knee, press the hips forward. Think about lifting up through the upper body as you come forward. And then as you exhale, send it back. Take a couple more rounds just like that. Moving at a speed that's right for you. Pausing if that's right for you. Focusing on warming up those hips. You know what feels best for you. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you can move around and then eventually you find something that feels good. And then maybe that's where you pause for a little while. And then as you come forward again, we'll take it into that crescent lunge or that Anjaneyasana. So same choices. Hands can come to that left knee as you press the hips down, or the arms can reach up overhead. Just be mindful of that stretch in the hips, because that's what we want. No matter where the hands are, the upper body is lifting. So whether you're pressing into the knee, you're pressing the upper body up, or you're reaching your arms up, think about opening up through the chest, the heart. Take the gaze up towards the sky. Smile here. And then we'll all start to bring our hands back to frame out that left foot. So we're going to tuck the right toes, straighten that back leg. And again, step it up to a forward fold. Maybe a couple little steps if that helps you get there, or one giant step. Hands come to the shins as you inhale, flat back. Exhale as you fold. On the next inhale, lift it all the way up, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good. We're going to start to find a balance. So if you like to step towards a wall, or maybe just step off your mat, if your mat's a little squishy, go ahead and do whatever you need to do to feel a little more balanced. Our left foot is going to be our standing foot. So if you're using a wall, the wall is going to be on your left side. Bring your hands to heart center. And then the right foot is just coming into the inner ankle of the left foot to start. We're coming into a tree pose. If this feels like enough of a balance, you're on that right toe, and you're going to stay here. If you want to add on, the right foot can come to your inner shin, or you can lift it up to your inner thigh. Just make sure you're above or below your knee. Once you have the foot where you want it, start to play around with the hands. They can either stay right here at heart center. That prayer can lift overhead. You can open the arms, extend your arms out to the side. Maybe you're moving a little bit. Maybe you're moving because you're wobbling. Maybe you're moving because it's fun and you want to dance a little bit. This is a fun pose. It's a playful pose. Anytime we do balancing, it's a little more playful and a little more childlike. So have some fun with it. If you need to put your foot down 5 times and lift it back up, go ahead and do that. Keep giving it a try. Take 2 more breaths here. And then you'll start to bring those hands back to heart center. That right foot will slowly start to come back down to the mat. You kind of shake out your standing leg. Maybe take a little forward fold. Sometimes it feels like a little pressure in the lower back. So if a little forward fold feels good to relieve that, go ahead and do that. We'll start to take the same thing on the other side. So finding that nice firm foundation with the right foot, maybe fanning out your toes just a little bit, and then begin to find where that left foot wants to be. And just like I said before, different sides are going to be different. You might find that you're able to come a little further into this side. Maybe this side feels a little more challenging. Same goes for days. Some days you might feel like, yeah, I got this pose. And the next day you come into it and it's just not happening. That's totally normal too. Go ahead and find that arm variation wherever you want your hands to be. If you do find that you're having a hard time holding it, see if you can focus on something that isn't moving. Sometimes that can help. Just a little something like a light switch or an outlet or something small to keep that focus. And then also remembering to breathe. It can be tempting to hold your breath when we're balancing, but that breath will actually help. And then the hands slowly start to come back through heart center. That left foot gently comes back down to the mat. Shake out the standing leg. Take that little forward fold if it feels good. Shake it out, dance it out, whatever you need to do. Maybe grab a sip of water as you start to make your way back to the top of your mat. So go ahead and start to find your way back to the top of your mat. We're going to step the left foot all the way back, setting up for a warrior one. So that back foot is at about a 45-degree angle. Your right toes are facing the top of your mat. Your hips are facing forward. Almost imagining that your hips are like headlights, and then you'd be facing forward on the car. On the next inhale, the arms lift up. As you exhale, bend into that right knee, pressing down into the outer edge of that left foot. Relax the shoulders, lengthen through those arms. Good. From our warrior one, we're going to open it right up into our warrior two by reaching the right arm forward, the left arm back. That left heel is going to dial in a little bit. So that the outer edge of the left foot is now parallel to the back of your mat. And your hips are now opening up to the left side of your mat. Your shoulders are relaxed as you start to look at that front middle finger on your right hand. And then we're going to slowly straighten that right leg. Reach your right fingertips forward, so creating some space. And then we're going to find our triangle pose or Trigonasana. The right hand is resting on the shin or a block or the mat, and the left arm starts to lift up towards the sky. Roll that left shoulder open and back. Wherever that right hand is, it's really gentle. You're not leaning all your weight onto the shin or the block. That right hand can almost just be hanging, and you wouldn't really change your shape at all because it's your core that's stabilizing you here. On the next inhale, engage that core even more. As you start to lift it back up through center, we're going to turn our right toes to face the side of the mat. As you inhale, lift your arms up. We're going to take a wide-legged forward fold. Slowly start to take it down. Just taking any movement that feels big here. So you can kind of rock from side to side, maybe bending one knee and then the other. Maybe walking your hands really far out in front of you or really far behind you. Just take a few breaths. Maybe not moving at all. And then we're going to slowly start to bring your hands to your thighs as you gently begin to press yourself all the way back up to standing, still in that wide-legged stance. We're just going to take that whole sequence to the back of your mat now. So your left toes are going to become the front toe. You're going to turn those left toes to face the back of your mat. That right foot is going to be at about a 45-degree angle. Your hips are now facing the back of your mat. As you inhale, the arms lift up. As you exhale, bend into that warrior one, bending that left knee, reaching those arms up. So think about resisting here, kind of moving in opposite directions. Your hips and your lower half of the body want to press down, but your upper body wants to lift up. So you're lengthening and creating space in the upper body. From our warrior one, we're going to open it up to our warrior two. Right fingertips go back, left fingertips reach forward. That right foot, which is now the back of the mat, but it was the front, is parallel to the mat. And your hips are opening back up to the side. Shoulders relax. Take your gaze towards that left middle finger. For one more breath. Feeling that strength. You're using every muscle in your body, so you are super strong here. And then we're going to go ahead and straighten that left knee. Reach the left fingertips forward as you find your triangle, your Trigonasana. Right arm is reaching up towards the sky, trying to create that straight line from your left arm to your right arm. Hand can be resting on the shin, on a block. You don't have to have any kind of fancy yoga props. You can have a book. You can have a water bottle that you rest your hand on. It can really be anything. back of a chair. We're going to engage the core and slowly start to lift it all the way back up. Turn those left toes to face the side of the mat. One more time, wide-legged fold as you inhale, reach the arms overhead. As you exhale, dive it down. Again, taking any kind of movement that feels good. Maybe you do the same thing as you did on the other side. Maybe you start to find some stillness, holding onto opposite elbows and just sort of hanging like a rag doll. Maybe you take one more twist. You can bring your left hand to the mat and kind of lift your right arm up. And then your right hand can come to the mat, lift your left arm up. Kind of move around, try things out. See which one feels good for you. And then again, we'll slowly start to bring our hands to our thighs, gently pressing the upper body up. And this time we're just going to sort of walk your feet back together. You can take a bunch of little steps until you're back to a regular stance. Again, make your way back to the top of your mat. Once you arrive, we'll take a breath in, reach those arms up overhead. As you exhale, dive it down, swan dive. Put a little bend in the knees so you can bring your hands to the mat. And we're going to step it back to a downward facing dog. Go ahead and walk those feet to the back of the mat as you settle into that down dog. Maybe you're still moving, maybe you're still settling in, or maybe at this point, you're just finding some stillness, pressing those hips down, lengthening through the backs of the legs as those hips press up and back. We're just going to take 3 more breaths here. And then from our down dog, we'll slowly come back into a tabletop position. Your knees can come to the mat. Kind of readjust if you need to. Maybe move through a little round of cat and cow. Stretch out the spine just a bit. And then we're going to do one more little balance before we start to take it down a little bit. So the right leg is going to extend again, just like we did earlier in the class. But this time we're also going to lift the left arm. So opposite arm, opposite leg are reaching in opposite directions. That core, again, is what's stabilizing you here, engaging that core. On the next inhale, start to draw the right knee and the left elbow towards each other, rounding the back. Exhale, extend it long. We're going to do 2 more just like that. Inhale, draw it all in. Exhale, extend it long. See if you can keep the body as still as possible, except for what has to move, obviously. Inhale, draw it all in. Exhale, extend it long. And then slowly, left hand comes back to the mat. Right knee comes back to the mat. Kind of shake those hips out a little bit. And then we'll take it over to the other side. That left leg lifts. Find your balance here first. And then once that feels somewhat stable, the right arm lifts. Again, opposite arm, opposite leg, reaching in opposite directions. On the next inhale, elbow, knee, nose, all come together. Exhale, extend it long. 2 more. Inhale, elbow, nose, knee together. Exhale, extend it long. Last time, inhale, draw it all in. Exhale, extend. And then that hand and knee can come back down to the mat. Hips can rock from side to side. Maybe a little down, not down dog, cat and cow. My apologies. And then we're going to make our way back into a seated position. So once you've kind of shaken it out a little bit, you can go ahead and start to lower yourself into a seated position with the feet at the top of your mat, your legs extended long. Take a moment now to just kind of collect yourself before we take it all the way down. So if you need a sip of water, if there's any sort of blankets or sweaters or socks that you like for your Shavasana, go ahead and have those things near you. Or even start to put them on, just so that you can feel really comfortable as we start to move towards the end of class. So before we get there, we're going to take a deep breath in, reach the arms up overhead. As you exhale, fold it forward, seated forward fold. Just like we did at the beginning with the 1 leg at a time, I want you to kind of make this comfortable for you. So if that means having a little bend in your knees still, go ahead and do that. Or maybe you have some sort of strap at home that you like to use. You wrap the strap around your feet and sort of use that strap to draw you a little deeper into the pose. Hands can be resting on the shins, on the toes. Let's all take an inhale and lengthen the spine a little bit. So you're sitting up a little bit as you inhale, creating some space. And then as you exhale, see if you can fold just a little bit further forward. And then on the next inhale, go ahead and lift it all the way back up. We're going to engage the core as you extend your arms out long in front of you, one vertebrae at a time. You'll slowly start to lower yourself down. You may need to shift a little bit so that your head doesn't roll off the mat. But once you come down, you're going to find another full body stretch, just like we did at the beginning of class. Reaching those arms overhead, big, deep inhale, stretch it all out. And then with a big exhale, a big sigh, let the arms come to the sides of the body. You can even kind of let them fall if that feels comfortable to you, just letting it all go. We're going to come into a back bend by bending your knees, bringing your feet to the base of the spine. Your hands are pressing down into the mat on either side of you. And then as you inhale, the hips will start to peel up towards the sky, pressing those hips up. And then you have the choice to either keep the hands where they are or start to wiggle your shoulders under you a little bit, interlacing your hands under the tailbone. So either way, you're still getting that nice bend in the back. It's just a matter of where you like to have your hands. But we're really focusing on that spine here. We spend so much time of our day leaning forward on your computer, on your phone. If you're eating, we're always leaning forward, even though we try not to. So taking these next few breaths here to allow that spine to bend in a direction that it doesn't get to bend in as often. Really beneficial. And then we're going to slowly start to peel that spine back down onto the mat, one vertebrae at a time. Once the tailbone touches, you just kind of let your hips rock from side to side a little bit. We're going to take the right foot, place it on the left knee so that if you were looking at your legs, you're almost creating like a triangle shape with the legs. And then that left leg is going to lift up off the mat, interlacing your hands behind the left thigh, flexing through both feet here. As you draw that left leg towards you, you should start to feel a little stretch in the right hip or a little opening in that right hip. You can even take your right hand and gently press the right knee away from you. Get a little deeper stretch if that feels good. And then as always, you have options here. You can be still and just focus on breathing into that hip. You can bend and straighten the left leg if that feels good. Maybe even a little rock from side to side. We really want to focus on opening up through that right hip. We're going to hold this for about 2 or 3 more breaths. And then you can gently place the left foot back on the mat and the right foot back on the mat. And then that left foot will come to the right knee. So switching sides here. Right leg lifts up. Both feet are flexed here as you interlace your hands behind that right thigh. Start to draw the right leg towards you, creating that same little opening, that same little stretch on the left side and the left hip. Playing around, doing whatever feels good, trying different things. Sometimes it's just a matter of moving until all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can really feel that in my hip. But that's where you want to pause and maybe breathe into it. Send that breath into whatever space feels a little tight, feels like it could use a little extra love. And then gently placing that left foot back down, or the right foot on the mat and the left foot, both feet come back down to the mat. We're going to hug those knees in towards us one more time, wrapping your arms around your shins, kind of give yourself a little hug, maybe lifting your head up towards your knees, kind of making a little ball with the body, and then slowly placing that head back down on the mat. We're going to come into an inversion. So you have the choice to either reach those feet right up towards the sky. If you're near a wall and you like to do this on the wall, or you want to try it on the wall, go ahead and do the same thing, but with the legs resting on the wall. It's a little more restorative. If you're not using the wall, your hands can either be behind your thighs, supporting the legs, or you can kind of sit on your hands. That'll sort of shift the angle a little bit, make it feel slightly more comfortable. A little challenging to have the legs up without any sort of support. So we're going to hold this for about 5 to 7 breaths, just giving ourselves a chance to get your feet above your head, above your heart. Anytime those feet are in the air, called an inversion. And inversions are beneficial for so many reasons. They actually start to tap into our parasympathetic nervous system, kind of calm down the body, create a little bit of a peaceful, calming feeling just by getting those feet in the air. It's also really good for your circulation, kind of helps that blood move through the legs a little bit in a direction. Doesn't usually get to flow down, so kind of helps. And then we'll all slowly start to draw the knees towards us. If you do happen to be using a wall and you want to stay there, go ahead and stay there, even for the rest of class. That can be a really peaceful shavasana. So if you are on that wall and you want to stay there, feel free. For everyone else, those knees can start to draw back in towards you. You can make some circles with the knees, maybe rocking them together, or maybe even in opposite directions, whatever feels good. Just kind of move the knees a little bit. Massage that spine. And then we're going to extend our arms wide out to either side. And the legs are just going to release over to the right as we start to come into a twist. So really casual, just kind of letting the legs land where they want to land, not forcing anything. Your shoulders are pressing down into the mat. That left shoulder might be trying to lift up a little bit, but you're going to draw it back down. And then you can choose where you look. Maybe you're looking towards your left hand, away from those right knees. That's going to be a deeper twist. Otherwise, you can also have your gaze up towards the ceiling. We're just going to hold this for a few breaths, allowing that body to gently twist. Maybe starting to close the eyes here, or just letting your vision become a little blurry so you're not really focusing in on anything. You're just kind of looking without seeing. Then on the next inhale, the knees will gently come back through center and just softly make their way over to the left side so we can take that twist on the other side. And same thing you did before. Make it casual, make it comfortable, just letting those legs come where they want to be. Maybe the left hand comes to the right leg and sort of massages that leg a little bit. Eyes can stay closed if they're closed. And then again, we'll slowly start to draw the knees back through center. The feet can be on the mat, the knees can be bent. Take a moment now to just kind of check in with yourself. See where you are, see what else you still need before you start to end your practice. So if it's another little twist or stretch, go ahead and do that now. If it's a matter of putting on socks or sweaters or something like that, go ahead and do those things. And then when you're ready, you'll start to transition into whatever shape you want to end your practice in. And it can actually be right here. Maybe you make your feet a little wider and let your knees kind of lean in towards each other, resting your hands on your stomach. That's a great space to be if that feels comfortable. Or maybe you're extending your legs long, taking up a lot of space, making your feet really wide, making your arms really wide, coming into a more traditional shavasana. But it can be anything. Just like I said at the beginning of class, if you want to be on your side, if you want to come back up to a seated position, if it feels good for you, then it's the right pose. Maybe it's the exact same shape you started class in. Maybe you're feeling something else this time. So take these last few moments now, start to settle into that last shape of the morning. Let the eyes begin to close if they're not already. Let the body start to become heavy. So almost imagining that you're just melting into your mat. You're completely letting go, completely surrendering, becoming really heavy and just kind of dissolving into your mat. Allowing that breath to start to return to its normal rhythm so that you're no longer paying attention to your inhales and your exhales. You're just letting the breath move freely through you because your body is really smart and it knows what to do even when you're not reminding it what to do. For the next few moments, just allow yourself to settle into that shavasana and just be here on your mat the next few moments. Slowly beginning to deepen your breath. Just gently starting to bring your awareness back to your body. Really small movements of the fingers and toes, and the wrists and the ankles. Eventually starting to stretch in any way that feels comfortable for you. Maybe that's reaching the arms overhead or bending and straightening the knees depending on where they were. You are lying down. And start to make your way onto the side of your body with your knees bent, resting your head on your arm, kind of in a little fetal position. Just take these last few moments here on your mat. Kind of allow everything to begin to settle right there inside of you. So all of those breaths you took, all of those poses you offered, all of that good energy that you just created, it's all floating around your mat right now. So let it start to settle right there inside of you, kind of filling up your cup in a sense. So that when you get up off your mat in a few moments and go back out into the rest of your day, you're feeling ready and recharged and refreshed and able to take on whatever it is that you have ahead of you. Whenever you're ready, you can slowly start to make your way back up to a seated position, gently pressing your hands into the mat as you make your way back up. Your eyes can stay closed or close them once you sit up, bringing those hands to heart center. I am so grateful for all of you for letting me join you this morning, for bringing your light and your energy with you and sharing it with all of us. Even though we're all virtual, it still felt. Thank you for being here. I hope you have the most beautiful weekend, beautiful day. Until I see you sometime again. Namaste.